This is episode 302 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. Dion, think of something clever again. Manzano.
That was not very clever.
Will, the fate of the galaxy rests on Hoth. Hayquid.
Prepare the planetary shields. Ready the ion cannons.
Ryan, 10 days and counting. Staniszewski.
Yes, this is your last official double-digit day before Worlds.
That's right. Prepare. Get yourself ready because Worlds is around the corner. Even if you are not attending, but you enjoy yourself some X-Wing, prepare yourself for tons of content, just like a fire hose worth of stuff coming your way. You know that, of course, you're going to be getting that live coverage from GSP, a bunch of people Facebooking and tweeting and TikToking about it, as well as any updates that we get from AMG. This isn't inside information, but I know that they are planning on doing a like, I forget, I don't remember what they're calling it, but like a state of the studio address, essentially. And there, we're supposed to be getting some announcements. My understanding is like their big announcement isn't, revolves more around Marvel Crisis Protocol, is my understanding. That is a little inside information, but they said they do got some candy for us. So prepare for some candy. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I'm excited though. They're like, Dion, you gonna be there? I'm like, yeah, of course I'm gonna be there. Just let us know. And we'll know when we know. As for
I'd be cool with just actual candy.
I can get you candy. What's your favorite candy, Marcel?
Depends which category. Like just general. Like if it's a hard candy, it'll probably be like a Jolly
chocolate.
Rancher. If it's like a chocolate, it's probably. That's a tough one.
So if I said,
Taffy.
right now, if I said I could magic you, whoosh, magic you any candy you want, what would you want right now?
Reese's Pieces.
There you go. See, easy. All right. What about you? Let's round table this.
Snickers and Laffy Taffy for non-chocolate candy. Saltwater taffy specifically.
Right?
I'll take Kit Kat.
Kit Kat's pretty strong. Pretty strong. I like Twix myself. I like
Saw
Twix.
the Twix on Saturday.
Sunday.
Saturday.
Sunday.
Saturday.
I don't know. It was Saturday. For you guys that don't know, so my daughter does Irish dance. These weekends are like crazy for Irish dance stuff. She's got shows. She had shows on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then again this Friday, which is actually St. Patrick's Day, and then Saturday. It's absolutely crazy. But we were doing the parade, and then on a whim, I told Arwen, I was like, Marcel lives really close to here. She goes, can we go to Marcel's house? And I was like, I'll call Marcel. And we ended up going out to lunch. Building. Yeah, exactly. I had to explain to her like what a condo is. It was with a 6-year. This is an interesting conversation with the 6-year-old. She's like, so it's an apartment? I'm like, no, it's not. Anyway, it was fun.
Just say like apartment.
I mean, but I wanted her to understand. Like, she's 6, but she's not dumb. She just doesn't. She doesn't have a. She's right. Like she ended up understanding. She goes, "Oh, okay. So he owns the apartment, and it's just called a condo." And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Okay. There you go. Now she knows what a condo is." Never. Don't be afraid to teach. Ever. Note to self, get candy to bribe GSP with in case I play them at AdeptiCon. Correct. Have some saltwater taffy.
You're going to have to beat that bribe with the famous Sarah cookies that I'm likely to bring to AdeptiCon. So good luck with that.
Strong.
The
Those are
bribe.
they're quite delicious. As for announcements and news, Sector Series update. We're in the top 4. people. We are in the top 4. Matches will be streamed. Will and James are going to take on one of the games. I'm going to take on one with whoever's available, and we will bring you those games once we know they are scheduled. As for who is in that top 4, let's go ahead, take a second, and let you know our final top 4 competitors. And I definitely am stalling because my window isn't loading for some reason. Hopefully the podcast doesn't turn off. Is our top 4 right now are Ulrian Condre versus JB Fancourt on one side, and Sunset Cyber versus Obi-Wan. I want to go back, and do you guys know what sectors they're in, or they were from?
Sunset Cyber should be from Sector 1.
That sounds right. That sounds right. I just don't remember. Let's see. I might be able to figure it out by just looking at the bracket here.
I'm pulling them up here. What Sunset Cyber is representing Sector 1.
All right.
We have nobody from Sector 2. Sector 3 is Obi-Wan and JB Fancourt. Which would make Condre
Sector 1 as well.
Sector 4.
Oh, he's Sector 4.
Yeah, all of these Sector 2s got knocked out.
Gone. It's over. Sector 2 destroyed. Alrighty. Which sector will be victorious? Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. So once we know, we will let you know. We'll go ahead. We'll post it, of course, on Facebook and Discord, so you know when those games are happening, so you can watch live. Exciting to see how that is all wrapping up. Of course, our podcast is brought to you by our amazing GSP patrons. If you want to be a part of our largest group of supporters, you can go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron. Our coverage of the World Championships and other events that we travel to is supported by you. Thank you so much for your support. All right. As you know, all of our topics have been leading towards this big event that's coming up in 10 days, the World Championships. And we thought that today we talk a little bit about setting your expectations / goals. And I want to talk about the difference between those two for Worlds. Maybe we should add / hopes, because that's different than expectation and goals, right? Expectations / goals / hopes for Worlds. There's different levels of competitiveness. There's different ways to just look at the tournament. And then after that, I like how Ryan, you put it as like, what should you be like doing in these last 10 days, right? To help or support those expectations. It's going to be good stuff. And we'll talk a little bit about also, if you don't make it past the LCQ and that's part of your expectations, what are some of the other things you can do? What side events are happening? What's the download? Can you guys give us some secret information? And actually, I do have some things that are not explicitly put out there on the AdeptiCon website that we'll go ahead and throw out there. And of course, we're going to hit that Boogeyman of the week. This week, it is Poe Dameron in that Falcon. We'll hit that. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What kind of lists are coming with it? How do you fly it? ? I don't know if that's our best advice. I don't know if anybody here is flying Poe. Maybe. Don't want to give away any secrets. But what are some of the things that we're seeing from that pilot? What is it good at? So on and so forth. So, setting expectations and goals / hopes. Let's start by hearing you three are competing. I'm not. What are your expectations, goals, hopes? Because I know you three are coming from all three of you have 3 very different mindsets and approaches to how you go about X-Wing. I'd love to hear where you're at. Marcel, you want to start us off?
Sure. So the goal is always to win. So the goal is undefeated world champion. Like, you know, that is the goal. The expectation, honestly, So the expectation is I don't think I have the best list. I think I have a list that I am comfortable with, which is good. So I don't think I have the most optimal list, but it's something that I'm comfortable with and something that in playing I haven't been bored yet. And mind you, I have not played a lot, but I haven't gotten bored of it yet, which is a big deal because I tend to, once I get bored, like I tend to get disinterested.
Yeah.
So
You're actively engaged in the list right now.
Yeah, I like the list. It seems interesting. I don't think it's like head and shoulders above other lists. It's good. It's not. It's also not a bad list. I have not really practiced much, if at all. Like I've played games, but I don't think I would call it practice. So I do think that I'm an above average player, so I don't think like I don't think I'm gonna make dumb choices, even if I haven't played in a long time. So honestly, my expectation is really 7-3. If I don't do 7-3 across 2 days, I will be disappointed. Like if I only win 6 games, I will be disappointed. If I win 7 games, I think that's probably fair. 8 games, I think it's very doable. 9 games, I actually feel like if I get the right matchups and do everything, 9 games. 10 is I don't think I'll win 10 games, and I'll tell you this why. Because if I win 9 games, I will 100% ask for a draw. Game 10.
Yeah, I mean that just makes sense.
Yeah, like so, but yeah, like 7 is where I think is like I guess when you're talking about expectations at that level, whether I'm happy with my performance or not, I am shooting for an undefeated win of the whole thing. I mean, that's why I play the game.
Of course, yeah.
But whether I'm satisfied with my performance or not satisfied with my performance is probably 7. Like if I get 7 wins, I feel okay. If I get 8 wins, 9 wins, obviously 10 wins better. If I get 6 wins, I'll probably be disappointed. Or if I don't make day 2, I'll be disappointed.
All right. Will?
Well, I got to go through the LCQ first.
It's very true. There's so Marcel has an invite that's coming from that mentality. Sorry. One thing I wanted to hit as well, Marcel. What is your best record for anybody who maybe is not familiar? Maybe it's our first episode. Your best record in a World Championship tournament.
Record as far as Swiss is 7-0 or 9-8-1 or 9-1. When that one time we did like 10 rounds, I think.
Which got you as far as
8, top 8. That's when I think I forget his Justin, was it, from Singapore?
Yeah, Justin Poa.
Yeah, he knocked me out.
Jump
top
master.
8. It was 5 jump masters. It was 3 on 5. It was 2 on 3. Yeah.
So many jump masters.
Yeah. And that was a revenge when I actually beat him in Swiss and he got me in the cut. So yeah, I've done undefeated the last World 7-0. And then I did like I think 9-1 on that one, and then lost top 8 against Justin.
All right, Will.
So yeah, I had to go through the last chance qualifier. So ultimate goal is to get at least 4 wins. So hopefully be in the selected few that can go on to play. So that's Thursday. So then that way I could play on Friday in the main event. That's the ultimate goal. You got to get through the last chance qualifier. After that, it's kind of like easy street. Not too much worry. Just making, I think, day 2. So what, going 3-2? I believe is the cutoff for day 2. All 3 and 2s will make it in. Or is it graduated?
Well, it's
different
6
way.
points.
9 points.
It's the 9 points.
Oh, sorry.
That's
No,
8 points.
8 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
technically the 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss.
yeah. So that's the ultimate goal: 4 wins on Thursday and 3 wins on Friday. After that, on Saturday, totally fun. Now looking for, a lot of hopes. I do have maybe a home field advantage in the Adepticon. X-Wings, we played in X-Wing. John, I think you were there at least a year or two before me. X-Wing's been in that same exact spot, those same exact front tables.
It feels like it's not the walk in and oh, this all feels new. We don't have to have that mental processing. This is just we've been here, done that. Which is there is a extra amount of processing that does take when you're kind of taking in your surroundings. The surroundings being familiar does have an advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah, sometimes we play under that lower overhang, but most of the time we're right next to the show floor. Great spot. Now I'm one of those dark side rooms, so brightly lit.
Yes, lots of light.
So yeah, we're just hoping to get to. If we can play Saturday, I'll be happy with myself.
Ryan. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Right, same question. Will, what's your best finish in a World Championship tournament?
In a Worlds, I never made any cuts, and I think the one time that I got to play day 2, we continued on Swiss. Yeah. Me and Tim Duncan knocked each other out. One of us needed to win big, and but just neither one of us didn't. So we're
Tim Duncan.
Yeah. Or Dugan? Yeah,
Tim
did I say
Dugan.
Duncan?
Yeah. Tim Duncan is a basketball player, yeah.
There
could be more than one Tim Duncan in the world.
No, I'm talking TCX Radio. So we ended up 35th and 37th or something dumb like that. Neither one of us made it in, so that was pretty disappointing. So yeah, I think it's 30th. Or no. Yeah, over 32, because I think that was the year they cut to top 32. And I think that's the year that Simeon won, if I'm not mistaken. So it must have been the last one. First edition.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Ryan?
So I'm also in LCQ. So baseline, I want to get out of that. 4 wins or higher, I believe, guarantees it. Or maybe if I'm at 3-1, might test the intentional draw if I'm able to look at the standings. If it's on Roll Better, whatever is announced to be used for the software that they're going to be using, if it's online capable to show everyone, or they're going old school and posting the lists up on the walls. It's always the backup plan, I assume. I'll be honest. I was not happy with how I did at Gen Con, and I have a little chip on my shoulder a little bit. Feel like I want to do better, and get a pretty good showing at 2.5, because I missed last year's Adepticon, unfortunately, even though Laud is one of the better events in X-Wing history, I would say. Thank you very much, Dion, again for that. I think Gen Con has really been my only premier 2.5 event I've gone to. Everything else has been either kind of local or it's been Crossroads Classic, which was just before 2.5. They had some of the rules there, but it was on the edge of oh, is it going to be here in time for us to do all the new stuff? No. Even if it did show up, oh my God, would it have been insane if they if rules dropped the day before we're using them, oh my God, now looking back on that would have been nuts.
That would have been crazy. We didn't know what we were talking about.
No.
We had no idea.
So yeah, I'm trying to make sure I prepare better this time versus Gen Con. I don't think my Gen Con prep was terrible, but I made the mistake of swapping to a different list that I probably shouldn't have. I'm not going to make that same mistake, ideally. So I'm hoping. I was trying to figure out what kind of feels more like making cut in this, because I think it's somewhere in between making day 2 and actually make the top 8 cuts. Making the top 8 cut, like that seems more like in the gravy area, right? That's
that's that. The
top 8
cut
out of hundreds
Yeah.
is a lot. But I think making day 2 is maybe, for how many people there are, is day 2 of the main event is probably a little bit under what our average cut is. So I would want. I would say my goal is a positive record at the end of day 2 of World's main event.
fair.
That's my equivalent to making cut.
6-4. Or
Yeah.
draws in there somewhere.
6-4. So, I mean, ideally, I want to be closer to having like in competition or in competing for the chance to top 8 would feel better to me. But I think I'd still be happy with like a winning overall record. Between the 2 days of Worlds. So yeah, that's kind of my general goal. That kind of feels like an expectation a little bit. It's kind of, and everything after that's kind of on a gravy level. Yeah.
So, question for you two is, I know it's too early to tell. Do you plan on continue playing? Let's say you go 3-2 and then you lose round 1 and you're 3-3 on Saturday, or or the second one 4-3 or something like that, but you're eliminated for early for the like
No,
there's still,
I'm playing triple elimination.
okay, so you're playing all the way to the end of Saturday if you get numerically.
I mean, as long as I don't have 3 losses.
I think it'll depend on how I'm feeling about the game. Like ideally, there's not a game where I feel like I made like such a gigantic mistake or there was such gigantic variance that knocked me out, type of thing. It also vastly depends on, are people who are knocked out, are they meeting up for lunch somewhere? Are we meeting up to go do something else, right? So I'm open to that. Like, sure, I'm going there to play majority X-Wing, but there's definitely other stuff that I could do as enjoyment level too.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I know one of the things when it comes to if you don't make a cut, we'll talk about the different events and things that are available, is that even if you may be mathematically eliminated, if you're still allowed to play on that day, it is still a better, if we're just talking about straight monetary value, still a better value to just continue playing if your plan is to go just to play. If we're just talking about the ability to play, it's still the cheapest because you already paid to do that. Because all the other playing, if you're playing any type of pods or events, does cost money. So just trying to keep a couple dollars in your pocket. If you're saying my goal is to go there and play as many games of X-Wing versus people I've never played before because I want that experience, because that's the most exciting X-Wing, then that's your best bang for your buck right there. As long as you haven't been completely eliminated where they say, all right, you don't make the next day. If you can play, you play. Easy peasy. Now, switching gears here a little bit, we talked about your...
You didn't ask Ryan his top, I think.
Oh, sorry. what's your best finish, Ryan?
The last Worlds for first edition, which is actually my first Worlds. It was broken up kind of like how this one is, but it wasn't a cumulative total. If you recall, it was like X and 2s.
It like reset each stage.
Yeah, X and 2s made... Well, it didn't completely reset, because if you got 3 losses overall, I think you were just knocked out, and then the rankings in MOV would do the rest of it. So I went X and 2 day 1, which means I had to go 3-0, which I did, made the top 16 and moved on to the top 8, where I was defeated by the eventual winner, Simeon.
So switching gears here just a little bit, let's talk about, for the people at home, how to go about setting their personal goals or expectations. And I first want to talk about, like, when you set goals and expectations, I think it's important to be realistic, right? So, and you're also going to have different types of people. So, especially my biggest, like, let me back it up a little bit. There are people who have varying levels of competitiveness within this game. Right? We have everywhere from people who play, this is their beer and pretzels game, will be at Worlds and even signed up for the LCQ. And they may be the most casual player you've ever met, and they literally do not care if they win or lose. There will be people on the other side of that coin that they are there to play and they are there to win, and everything in between. None of them are wrong. None of them are better than each other. But it's important, I think, to understand where are you personally on that spectrum of people, because I think that goes into how you set your expectations for AdeptiCon. And then after that, you got to think about how does your preparation connect to your expectations, right? So if you're an ultra competitive player that hasn't done any preparation whatsoever, you don't even know what you're playing yet, and your expectation is to win the world championship, that's probably the wrong take, right? It's important to kind of match those things up with each other, in my opinion. That's how you can identify where are you on that spectrum of player. Make sure how do your goals line up for that? Because I think one of the things that I see some people get caught up with, guys, and let me know if you've seen this before, you'll have that player that is usually pretty casual, and they go at first, they kind of sign up with that expectation of like, oh, I'm just going to have a good time and hang out with people, and they sometimes set themselves up for like anxiety because all of a sudden they put some type of other expectation on themselves to like, oh, I really want to have a winning record, or who knows what it is, but they may not be going in with realistic expectations. Have you guys ever seen a player like that? Maybe chatted with somebody in a similar situation?
As far as like they come in just wanting to have fun and then change their expectations.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen it on the other way, where came in like prepped to be competitive and then decided, no, I'm just gonna have fun day of. Like I've seen that for sure. I think that was it was with I think you were there too, Dion. We went to the Canadian Nationals, and I had a list, and I was all like gun ho, try hard, and then at the last second, in the morning of, I think the Saturday morning, I was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to have fun, and I borrowed chips from some Canadian people and like had fun, but tanked really bad.
Yep.
But I think everybody, once they get into their first, no matter what their expectation is, especially if they win their first game. Yeah. I think everyone by game 2, especially if they won their first one, probably starts getting that little like
antsy in your pants.
Yeah, like maybe it could happen.
Maybe me. Could it be me? I mean, that's every dramatic storyline starts with the first win, and then the second win. And then at what point do you get tilted? That's the problem. It's like I could have won this if I didn't. I don't know. Whatever you did to ruin it. But yeah, I just think for me, just making sure that your expectations are realistic to what you're going into, and just making sure. I think priority is having fun. And now here's the thing: having fun is different for each person. So when I am competing, when my time is and energy is going toward, I am competing. The act of competing is fun to me. Like, even losing, like it's all part of that box for me personally of I'm in the competition. That is what is fun for me. And when you stop having fun, whatever that is for you, I think it's important to recognize that you do have the power to just take a break, step away. It's all right. You can forfeit a game and come back to the next game, or drop from a tournament. That's always a possibility, because ultimately you do want to try to walk away with good memories when it comes to these trips, right? Don't waste your time sulking or being, upset if you can maybe manage those emotions and those expectations. So
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about like your expectations change as you're playing. I'm gonna try something. So because just we said like, at what point are you satisfied? That I said, like, if I hit 7-3, I'm satisfied. Like, I feel like I did not embarrass myself. Like 7-3 is good, it's respectable. But I do know that if I do happen to go, let's say I'm 8-1, and then I lose round 10 and I go 8-2 and miss the cut, and maybe I'm at the bottom of the 8-2 and I make the cut, I'm going to be super disappointed and super upset. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to actually print out 7-3 equals smiley face. See if I do go for, or even if I'm in the cut and lose, and then I'm like, I could have made it all the way, like stupid dice, whatever.
Right.
If I can reference that and be like, I kind of use that as an anchor to be like, no, like I shouldn't be upset
that you had success.
Yeah. Because I've had that happen where I show up somewhere and I'm like, my goal is to make cut. And then I'll go. Last year's AdeptiCon is not a good example because I actually genuinely didn't care. But there's been other times, World, or actually LVO, like when Duncan knocked me out of the LVO last year or something like that. I came in just to have fun, and I didn't have any expectation. But then actually it wasn't LVO. It was Philadelphia or something like Washington, one of those. He knocked me out in the first round of the cut. But I just came in to like have fun. I was trying a new list, and it was just whatever. And I made the cut, and then he knocked me out in the first round, and I felt really bad about it. I'm like, man, because I'm thinking like maybe I got it, and he knocked me out, and I felt really bad. But ultimately, like, I did better than I thought I would do. I was just coming in to have fun, and I made cut. But I walked away feeling salty because I lost.
Now, would you say that? Okay, so Marcel Manzano has had a lot of success in X-Wing. Marcel Manzano has won a major tournament and has gotten really close, top 8 twice. For Worlds, top 8 once, and then top 16 twice.
Yeah.
You've gotten really close 2 times, right? So I think there's also a perspective issue, right? Because for yourself, you've been that close. You've tasted that, but you want to go one step further, right? Is it a perspective issue? Because I think somebody who's never, let's say, somebody who's never made a cut before, and oh my God, I just got into the cut, the top 8. They may lose that game and just feel I never expected to be here. I only play against my friend Charlie in the basement. If you play against Charlie in the basement, that's good luck, by the way. I don't know. Is that kind of what you think it is? There's a perspective issue there?
I mean, probably, yeah. I just, like I said, knowing myself that I do tend to change the expectation the further the tournament goes, and then you usually feel bad that I lost, even though sometimes I get over it faster. Last year was an anomaly. Like when I lost the final against Heidi, I don't know why it was an anomaly. It didn't bother me at all. But that was probably the only time. It always bothers me. Like I always feel bad about losing. But I was thinking I'm gonna write down that I said 7-3 is success.
Yeah.
Just as an anchor to re-anchor myself if I start getting upset. Be like, oh, Now, if I go 6-4, then I'll just be upset, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to be upset." Like,
I'm supposed to look. I got my evidence.
evidence. I said
This
I was
is
gonna
my
be upset.
license
Like,
to be upset.
yeah.
How about 7-3 is a smiley face. 6-4, you put this one just like it is what it is. 5-5, then you can be with the bad face.
Or
Okay.
not missing, or missing second day altogether.
No. that one's crying. That one's crying. You don't get mad. You're sad. Okay. Well, if you don't make it past the LCQ or day one of Worlds, Ryan and Will, what are some of our other options?
We got to talk about the X-Wing options first.
Yeah.
I'm going to the AdeptiCon website, checking out their events. Let's see. So what day is... What's the exact date? So Thursday is the 23rd. Friday is the 24th.
Yep.
Yep. So if either of us, as an example, don't make it out of the LCQ, our Friday and Saturday has just been freed up. What can we do?
Well, it looks like on Friday, not much going on. Big focus on the World's Day 1 with a little bit of open play on the available tables. But then Saturday is really when it opens up. There's pods going on right now in addition to open play. Pods are essentially where 8 players get together, play 3 rounds, and then can declare one of them a champion. They have wrote down standard game mode, which I don't really... I assume that's standard as in not extended.
Yeah.
That's what we would have to assume there.
So quick pro tip here. See how they have tickets for these pods? This is so they can make sure that they're allocating table space. But if you get a ticket through here, you're basically guaranteed a pod. But there is a very good chance that they will still sell you a pod ticket, a pod spot there in person. So don't fret if you really wanted to play from 12 to 4:30, because if there is table space, they'll make sure to let you play. But you'll see that with those times, they they kind of have them. They said they have 56 spots for pod 1, 32 for pod 2, and 56 for pod 3. So scoop those up, and I'll be completely honest. If you get any of those and pay for it, and you just kind of walk up, there's a good chance they'll let you play at almost any time. You're like, I paid for a pod. Just go play. Just go play. It's going to be fine.
And there are some prizes that they've already announced out of the prize pool for Worlds that is only acquirable through side events.
Ooh.
I believe that, if I recall correctly, that is specifically the alt art standardized cards, I think, from Battle of Yavin.
That's right. Are they doing the normal prize tickets like previous? My understanding is there's not a prize wall, but I could be wrong. I am not running it this time. I'm just a streamer. I'm just the guy with the camera and a microphone. That's my job that weekend. All right, then what about what are we doing on the 26th if we're no longer in the championship?
Oh, one other thing. So it's not going to be through AdeptiCon, but on Thursday and Friday, AMG just posted this earlier today. If you want to reserve yourself early tickets for the Star Wars Shatterpoint demos that will be available at AdeptiCon. Even if you can't get these tickets now or don't want to sign up for them now because they're only set for Thursday and Friday being ticketed. They have said, and there is a page on their site that describes how they will handle walk-ups. There'll be a line for people that could stay in line, and when tables are available for demos, they will check to make sure the ticketed players are there. If the ticketed players aren't there in X amount of time, walk-ins will be allowed in to play the said demos. So if you're interested in the new game, Shatterpoint is going to be demoed at Adepticon at least Thursday and Friday. So that is one thing you could do on Friday if you don't make it out of the LCQ and into the World's Main Event Day 1.
Mm-hmm. What are some other? If you're into Star Wars, right? You're into things that like games that we like. What are some other things you can play in, Will?
Well, there is as well. Of course, the other AMG games. We got Legion and Armada, both are having similar kind of pods and open play. But we also got to give a shout out to Aerodome as well, inspired by dogfighting game, you might say, but a fantastic one at that. Aerodome, I think, is having signups for competitive intro events.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's the first ever tournament that's happening.
On large scale, yeah.
Yeah, on a bigger scale.
So that's pretty awesome to see. We'll have to find out more about that as well. But the main attraction, though, it's got to be the floor demos. Mm-hmm. Brian was talking about the Shatterpoint, but also they show off other miniatures games. And that's kind of the thought process that maybe if you haven't gone to Adepticon, are not as familiar with Adepticon, but it is like very, very much miniatures focused. Mm-hmm. Very, very little like role playing, very little card games out in attendance. The main focus is on like painting and the competitive like war games that are out there.
Yeah, I know some people are into this game. I just saw it right here. Where did it go? Snap Ships. Shoot, where did it go?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Right here, Snap Ships Tactics demo. Like those. That's the creator. What is the creator of a tree cluster? I think designed this game that you can like. It's like ship Legos. You can basically assemble a ship and play with it. Yeah, it looks cool. If you want to just try something out, there's spots available for that. Like there's so much to do. If you have the time and you want to explore, really look at the listings. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but type in things like demo, trial, if you're not entirely sure, and then look through the list because it's a little less overwhelming. Just type in demo. You can see we got all these types of like learned plays and beginner stuff out there.
And if you can also just go to Chicago.
This is very true.
Take a taxi, a train. If you got a car, drive. Look ahead of time. Just plan ahead. There's a lot to do, but there's also there's a lot to do, and you might get like kind of a paralysis, a little bit like analysis paralysis, where there's so much to do. What do we do? Okay, let's walk around, and then you walk around 8 hours and didn't do anything. That's a real possibility. So. Mm-hmm. Ahead of time, just in case. I mean, none of you, it's not going to happen to anyone. Nobody's going to lose. But if somebody does lose, and none of the other games kind of draw your attention, or if you got 2 days, you lose the LCQ, and now you got Thursday or Friday and Saturday. Then
be a tourist. That's cool.
Yeah. Just find out like, what do I want to do? What can I do that is not like a reservation based, like like you're not going to say, well, the Bulls are playing, so let me go watch the Bulls, because those tickets may not be available, or something like that. So it might be, like check out the museums, things. Just know ahead of time where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. Make a plan,
especially because not everything is next door. It's a big city. Not everything is next door to each other. So.
It's very true.
so you're gonna have to commute.
Love it, love it, love it. So, I mean, we talked about what you can do at AdeptiCon if you don't end up making your expectations. You get knocked out. You still got plenty of options. Be a tourist, play other games, have a good time, and also, when games are over, don't be afraid to communicate with people. Those of us who have been to tournaments are very comfortable going up to being like, where are you guys going for dinner? And just planning to get, like, it's literally not even a thing. And if you're going as a group, you kind of expect certain people to come up to you and ask you, like, where are we going? Like, it's all right to be like, hey, my name is Jeff, and I came here with my buddies. I heard you guys are going to dinner. Do you mind if we tag along? I would say 95% of the X-Wing community is going to be like, yeah, sure. How many you got? All right, cool. Hey, let's add them to the reservation. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Find some people to hang out with. There's no reason to be alone. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. You person listening, don't do it. Shh, I'll call you out. Don't make me do it. All right.
Hey, speaking of going out to eating and enjoying drinks and whatnot, one, be responsible. Two,
Yes.
there is a certain person that is not allowed to pay for any of their food or drinks throughout the entire event. Okay? Because they have done so much paying for other people and for other things throughout the lead up to Worlds, whether it's players or judges. This person has helped pave the way for their enjoyment or pave the way for a better experience. So it is our job as a community, I'm calling on all of you, to make sure Isophane Daniel Lim does not pay for any of his food or drinks at Worlds.
100%. 100%. Don't do it.
Don't let him out of your sight. It's a whole community's job.
If you see him pulling out his wallet, Marcel, who's that basketball player? No. Who's that? What's his name?
Hakeem Olajuwon.
There you go. Don't do it. I've spoken. Awesome. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about our Boogeyman of the week. That is one Poe Dameron, specifically Poe Dameron in that YT 1300. Let's go ahead and start by just pulling up the card and breaking it down, because that's probably where we should start. I thought I had the link, and apparently I didn't. So give me a few seconds here, and we should have it. There it is. So Poe Dameron in the Falcon. Read it to me, Will.
So this is an I6 YT 1300 with the ability, before you execute a maneuver, you may spend one of your 2 recurring charges. If you do, ignore obstacles during that maneuver. Second ability, after you fully execute a maneuver, you may spend both of your charges to perform a white boost action or a red barrel roll action. Then, if you perform that red barrel roll, expose one of your damage cards if able.
It's so good.
So, basically, a collision detector while you move every round, if you want it. And in the rounds that you don't want it, you drop both your charges for either that juicy white boost or it's an impossible large base barrel roll. And if you have Ray's Millennium Falcon title, you can even red barrel roll and then white, or well, boost red or white after that, giving you a double reposition on a large base.
Spicy.
Maneuverable might be an understatement.
This thing could really move. That's a quote.
It can.
I'm the actual pilot.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so like Ryan, like how are we seeing people bring this in a list? Like what's the loadout? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I actually spent couple weeks putting in some games with Poe Falcon, trying them out myself. But I'm seeing two main versions emerging. A lot of that depends. So here's the number one upgrade you are just putting next to Poe Falcon and putting your stapler. Okay, it's called Ray Gunner. Okay? And Ray's Falcon title, but that one's 0 cost, so you don't have to worry about any lot. Ray Gunner makes this ship, whether you take a focus action or a lock action as your like action to provide additional mod sphere damage. Ray Gunner on top of that just makes this thing print 3 hits a majority of the time. Very similar to your Defender Vader, very similar to your X1 Yavin Vader, but when you have a lock, it's maybe not as high as those, but it's close. Like you're printing all hits on this ship. But you do need to take your action for it, but you're not as durable of a chassis as like a Defender Vader, as an example. But you are a Falcon with boost, and if there's one thing I like with boosting Falcons, it's making that boost not red. So engine upgrade, kind of something I go towards pretty quickly. After that, you look at Poe's ability has just 2 parts to it, as Will just went over. I think that for personally me, the ability that stands out more is the second part. Because the first part, sure, you can spend 1 or 2 charges, and you can ignore obstacles during that maneuver. Cool. I really like acting like an Aether Sprite, where I could fully execute a maneuver, spend 2 charges, and then boost or red barrel, acting like, hey, I'm a ship that can do a reposition action, and then also another action. And they both might not cost me any stress at all. Granted, it's every other turn with Poe Falcon. That's why I like engine upgrade on Poe Falcon, is because in those early turns, if I want to do a boost that isn't going to stress me, and I don't want to use his ability so early on without using it to pounce on an enemy ship, I'd rather have that white engine upgrade give me that early first turn, like, all right, I'm going to go 2 or 3 straight, and depending on how the board's turning out, I might boost straight to get a little further on the board edge. I might boost bank towards them to start cutting in harder because they went fast in the middle. I want to start going around behind them with the side arc. I will say it is weird to do that sort of Poe ability to charge, spend, boost, and then pounce on someone when your arcs are to the side, because you're moving forward, your arc is pointed forward. So it does take a little bit of practice and know how to know what type of maneuvers you need to do to maximize that while still using your side arcs. I do think while Poe could put his arc front to back, I think you're going to mitigate more shots going against you and utilizing that boost to work your way around enemies and lessening the amount of shots Poe is going to take by pointing your arcs to the sides. So with that in mind, your I6, you have basically fine-tuned controls level of ability. What works really well with that, as we've seen in I6 ships with illicits like Django, is false transponder codes. That is a definite big part as well, when you could, not only are you locking with a force, just that alone is good, we know that from Django, but you have the ability to do a move, decide if you'd like to do an extra boost, lock, and have a force that with Ray Gunner that's better than a regular force because it can convert a blank if necessary. You're going to lock someone, jam them, and basically print 3 hits. After that is where this gets into the gray area a little bit. So I think this is the baseline. Ray Gunner, false transponder code, engine upgrade, Ray title. You're left with 7 points. I see a lot of people wanting to go trick shot. Sure, I'm not completely against it, but I think they're leaning into Poe's first sentence of his ability, and I do like adding dice. It's good. I just have this weird sort of pet peeve with big base ships trying to maximize trick shots by bringing all these big obstacles.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, right?
It is, right? Especially when you are also trying to maximize the usage of the second part of his ability. Because when that, to me, is more valuable, to give your ship that space to barrel or boost after fully executing a maneuver, or bear in mind the barrel's red, but either way, the more obstacles you put on the board, the less of that you can do, the less room you have to do, the more likely you actually are to attempt to do your first sentence of your move. And because you're a big base, you could be blocked on that rock that you were going to try to ignore and hop over. But I've seen a lot of people use trick shot. Then they have 3 points left. You still have another crew slot. You could go Han Solo, or you can just do another talent. You're probably not going to use up all those points. You can just go Novice Technician, which is nice because I don't really want to spend my actions flipping crits that are bad, and this ship will get crits that are bad for it. Or you could, I mean, if you're going to do front arc, back arc Poe, I mean, crack shot isn't bad either. You're boosting a lot with that ship, and that could push some serious damage.
Have you seen anybody go Corsella?
That's the way I build it.
But I think they drop engine upgrade to do it.
Yeah, you don't need engine if you do that.
Yeah,
Then.
I like Corsella,
I will
false
clarify.
transponder, and trick shot myself.
Yeah. I have seen that version, but man, I missed that white boost for early options.
There is something interesting about Corsella, though, and it's in that red barrel roll. Because, pull up Corsella for a second, Dion. The Corsella is also after executing a blue maneuver, which does allow you. I just gotta double check the wording of it.
After you fully execute a blue maneuver, remove all your stress tokens.
Yes, so Poe's barrel roll is also after you fully execute. So if you fully execute blue maneuver, then red barrel roll, then you can activate Corsella, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan.
I would double check that with a judge. To be completely honest, if you are planning on bringing Poe Falcon and Corsella equipped to Worlds, go talk to a judge just to be
just double
sure.
check.
So,
as it reads, my understanding, because they are the same timing window, you would be able to do the red barrel roll and then trigger Corsella to lose the stress.
Right. Now, normally you'd be using Corsella because you're slooping with the title and boosting, and you're doing these red barrel rolls, all these other things, and you'll accumulate up to 2-3 stress. Then you just do one blue maneuver and clear them all. So she's got that. If you want to be doing the double reposition, the barrel roll into boost, she's almost a must-have then. But like you said, though, Ryan, I think it is either Corsella or engine upgrade, depending on what you think you can get more value out of.
Well, so my preference is actually not even to take trick shot, and that's why I end up with engine upgrade, is because I value Notorious.
I was going to say, I take Notorious if I can.
Yeah, I do. The Poe Falcon build I like the most is Ray Gunner, engine upgrade, Ray Falcon, false transponder code, Notorious, and Novice Technician. I don't want people shooting at my Falcon, let's be honest.
Right.
I have played against Poe Falcons, and even with Notorious on them, I burn it down. It can get caught if not played right. It can get caught more times than not. There's a lot of ships that have high power maneuverability right now. It's catchable, which is why, one, I'm not banking on trick shot stuff because I'm gonna end up wanting some level of bigger rocks, but I really don't with this ship. I want space. I want movement to maximize his extra maneuverability with his repositions. and I also want to disincentivize people from shooting me. So I have Notorious. And so even if I'm I6, because a lot of people think that's on Django too. They're like, hey, I'm not getting that much value out of Notorious because Django shoots, say I'm first player and Django shoots before, or it's just the fact that they're I6, right? They shoot before most all the other ships in the game. Why would I take Notorious? Like, because you have other ships on the board that can take advantage of that strain too. I mean, man, I've the amount of times I've seen and or heard people who have used, whether it's Django Grievous combination of like, hey, you shoot my Django, I'm going to strain you, and Grievous has you outmaneuvered. So, are you sure you want to shoot me? Probably shouldn't.
Like, okay, all right.
Yeah, same reason why I like bringing out Maneuver Kaz with this Poe, because I want to more distance. Like, if you're gonna really look at Poe, you're gonna have a Notorious strain coming back at you, and you're letting Kaz free reign outmaneuver you.
Tough choices. I like it. Oh man! So what are some of the other pieces that people are bringing with Poe? You had mentioned Kaz. I'm assuming maybe Finn, right? Finn.
You
Finn
gotta have the
list.
pods.
Yep.
Finn and BB-8 just slot into so many lists, either both together or individually, 3 and a 2-point ship. Because you do got a factor.
I think every Resistance list is a version of Poe, Kaz, and Finn pod is kind of where I start.
Yep. Probably not far off there. And then, yeah, of course, that's kind of the problem is that because Poe is 7 points, you kind of have to bring value pieces with him to get up to a 4-ship list. So you're also looking at the new Zay as the 4-point T70.
Yeah,
even Lulo as well. What is the 3-point A-wings, Marcel?
Well, the 3-point A-wings, you get Merle and Robbie.
Robbie.
But
Robbie.
Robbie.
That's right.
But genuinely, like, you can get a good 5-point list with Poe, Finn, BB-8, Lulo, and Zay. Like, that is...
So take the 2 pods and 2 4-pointers.
Yeah, and if you don't like the way Lulo flies, you can swap them out with... I know you guys were talking about...
Kaz
or something.
I'm more of a fan of Kaz and Zay.
I like Lulo just because of the basically shield upgrade and all the other fun stuff you could throw on him. But I think Zay is definitely a keeper. But yeah, Poe, Finn, BB-8, and 2 different 4-pointers, whichever suits your style the most. Whether it's Kaz or T70, or you can even fit. Like me personally, I would probably go with. With Lulo and Sefton with a Procket because I love Prockets. So 2
you want that I-5. You want that
I want 2
I-5.
I-5, yeah, 2 I-5 hitters, Poe. So it's Poe, 2 I-5 hitters, then BB-8 and Finn. So there's a ton of different 4-pointers you can get, but Poe with 4 additional ships for a total of 5 ships is a very, very solid list. Especially Finn and BB-8 both carry their weight around, or they earn their points better than most other ships in other factions.
And yeah, even with all the extra 4-pointers you mentioned, there's also the configuration of 7-4-3-3-3 as Poe, Kaz, Lulo, Zay, whatever. I prefer Kaz. So Poe, Kaz, Finn, and then 2 3-pointers. You got Jarek, who's another I-5 with the Fireball, who can bring the combination of a missile and either overtune modulators for a very well modded missile, or 2 missiles if you cluster missile him and make him a little kind of Malrus type, or
Fireball Malice.
Yeah. Or you go like concussion missile and false transponder code. See, I'm going to jam you and lock you and shoot you with a missile. And then another 3-pointer, which are probably one of the A-wings. I like Merrill a little more. I know I-1 is scary to fly for some people, but Merrill's ability gets overlooked quite a bit. I don't really like if I know a Merrill's going to occupy an area, I really don't want to test getting blocked there.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose my agility. And You can set up the Wombo combo if you block someone with Meryl, and they shoot Poe, who notorious is them, and then Kaz gets the outmaneuver, and you lose three agility in that whole cycle.
Your ship is dead.
There, you either severely messed up or didn't look at your opponent's cards.
Fair. Been there, done that.
Sure. Hey, the deeper you go in many rounds of X-Wing, the easier it is for your brain to miss a couple steps on the normal things you should remember.
Yeah. Top tip, guys. Read the cards. Alrighty. So that's been your Boogeyman of the week. I think we're about to go into Mando territory. All right. So basically, if you haven't watched the second episode of The Mandalorian, season 3, it's time for you.
We don't watch it. You're listening to the wrong podcast. Go away.
I was just gonna say they should probably leave so they don't get spoiled. Because maybe they just been really busy and been too tired to stay up to watch it with with the kids and all, and maybe they're working nights, the late shift. It's maybe they're just having a hard time. One person, a couple people, 10 people, who knows how many people. But anyway. Spoilers incoming. I really think they should have released the first 2 episodes at the same time. So, hear me out.
Really?
I enjoyed the first episode. The second one was significantly more exciting. Right? Like it had more drama in it, and I feel like it left more longing, right? I don't know how to describe it, but I think it could have been a better. I wanted more week 1. Obviously, week 2 tasted delicious though.
Right. I would almost say like week 1 was like a very what I think is like a traditional like Western, right? He went into the small town. He got offered the sheriff's position. They did a shootout in the streets, right?
Yeah.
Then he got jumped by some bandits on his horse. All right.
Yep.
And he had to do a shootout through the canyon. Like that feels very Westerny. Whereas this one very like tonally shifts into like an adventure story completely.
Yep.
Where like you're like I equate it to like RPGs or like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, where you're going into the dungeon, finding the different monsters, right? Looting the boss at the end, I guess. I guess they didn't really loot. I guess the waters maybe was the loot all along. But yeah, so very much more into like what I do think is like more Star Warsy, which is like the call of adventure, going out into the unknown, meeting new adversaries, if you will.
Is a mythosaur an adversary? I don't know, but I screamed when I saw it come up on screen. I was like, oh!
Yeah, I do love the like we've just gotten so used to just like adding like I forget what they call where you add like emotions to inanimate objects, but just like adding emotions to these Mandalorian helmets. And yeah, just Bo-Katan, just like a bunch of air bubbles, just like, like whoa! Did not see that on the way down.
I mean, like as they talked about, they're like, all these things like, oh, no one would have seen a mythosaur in X amount of years. I'm like, there's totally going to be one in the water. I
didn't expect it at all. For me,
I just figured like they kept throwing it out there as like it's all gone, or like they'd never seen it in a while. I'm like, this is gonna be what's in the water. It was still surprising, like they actually did it and how big it was.
Right,
I had no idea.
It was massive.
Yeah, I get the odd feeling that like.
Because you've seen big creatures before, like even like literally in this the first episode, we see a big creature,
giant crocodile type thing.
Sure.
Yep.
But even then, that's huge compared to that.
We had a crate dragon in season 2.
That's true. That one was very big.
That was huge. All right, so here's a question: does the Mythosaur make another appearance in season 3, or was that just like
100%.
it wasn't just like an Easter egg
theory for sure.
Ooh, tinfoil!
No.
Give me the foil. I want it.
This is rumor mill. So this actually goes back to the finale of Book of Boba Fett. Okay. The kaiju of the what are they actually called? Rancor?
Yeah.
Grogu calms the Rancor at the very end of that, ending the battle. So, and there's been a long. Bo-Katan's already brought up that like the Darksaber is like how you'll rule. Like she's like, go rule your people or whatever to the Mando. Or something like that. Actually, she says to go home, which is kind of a slant against him. But
right.
But she, implying that the Darksaber, even the armor is like the Darksaber is like, whoever wields the Darksaber is in charge of the Mandalorians or whatever. That kind of culty stuff. But what I think would transcend creeds of all Mando religions is someone taming the Mythosaur.
Is it like the little Grogu just sitting on its head?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, that's kind of like Avatar-ish in a way. The first Avatar where he gets the big creature or whatever. But I have to assume that the Mandalorian all along might not be Din.
I have a different opinion. Different tinfoil. I actually think Bo-Katan will end up like her arc will go from like she lost faith, she thought it was just a myth, they even play that off that like it's just a ritual, it's just a game, and that her arc will come back to, I think it already started coming back to like believing.
I mean, did you see her wield the Darksaber?
Oh, dude, that was amazing.
Foreshadowing. I thought that was like 100% foreshadowing. Like it was,
especially because they showed Din earlier struggle with it.
Yeah, like she was meant for it. So that's where. So my tinfoil hat will be that Bo-Katan will be the one that ends up ruling the Mandalore. The Mando world or whatever you call it. But I like that thought where it's Grogu that kind of calms the beast. And maybe even the Mandalorian that rides it, but ultimately Bo-Katan is going to sit the rusted out hazardous material Iron Throne.
Yeah, man. I'm curious to know if we're gonna end up getting like a Salvation of Mandalore type of thing, like, because obviously you saw that the land was turned into essentially stone, right? Like everything is this like everything's like this jade type of
sounds like obsidian, just like vaporized glass into or vaporized sand into glass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I wonder if we could get some type of. I mean, we have the Force, right? We seen a Mythosaur now in the show. Is there somehow where all that can come together and heal the land in some way or make it livable again? Imagine like season finale, Bo-Katan on Mandalore holding the Darksaber, and people are like repopulating Mandalore. Like that'd be like.
I mean, if there's like an uncovered like Beskar mine or something, like that could like give them a bunch of resources to rebuild.
That would be interesting. Maybe it's guarded by the Mythosaur.
Maybe.
Also, a connection.
Dragon hoarding the riches.
I mean, that. There you go. Mm-hmm. You could see it, right? Just like a pile of Mandalorian armor, as well. Just being like, yeah, I got some. You need, I got some. It's just, something that I just made a connection here right now. So I know that Din was supposed to bathe in the waters of the mines of Mandalore. Does getting pulled in count? Like, does it? He's good
why
now.
not?
I'm just asking, like,
Yeah, why not?
is being like, if I throw you into a pool or pull you down, did you make the choice to bathe in the waters?
Do you think he got pulled down, or do you think he just?
I just think he's a dummy.
That was a long drop. Like it went from like shallow water to just like, boom, straight down. And that armor, I assume, is really heavy, and he didn't have his jetpack.
That's what I'm thinking. I think he was just a dummy and not paying attention. He's like,
I thought he didn't get pulled down. He didn't get pulled.
No, he stepped over the edge.
Yeah, he kind of fell. It was a dramatic effect.
Yeah, he stepped over the edge. I mean, they even showed it was a steep, like the stairs end, and then it's just like.
Why? I must be misremembering it.
It was meant to like stay that way, and it just crumbled further down below.
Yeah, because otherwise Bo-Katan would have been like, "Hey, careful!" Like, there's. I think that
actually makes more sense. That it fell
like,
beneath him, not that he just like stepped off the ledge. Like,
not even that it fell beneath him. Probably when they dropped all the bombs and everything, whatever floor was there is no longer there, and that's probably why. Even though she had spent a lot of time there, she never saw the mythosaurs because it was below whatever cement or whatever rock structure was keeping that mythosaur down there. So probably that mythosaur has been down there for forever and nobody ever knew because there was like a rock formation. It used to be like a tunnel or a cave or something. That's probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he just walked over the edge like a dummy.
I'm scrubbing through it right now. Oh, okay. Another question. I remember right now that like robot thing. The robot with the eye.
It was mostly just like an eye head.
To me,
bug?
That eye looked just like one of the trash compactor monster. The eye, it looked just like one of those.
Yeah, they never showed what was inside there. Like, it looks like something was inside. It was just telescoping the eye itself. I mean, we assume Bo-Katan killed it, but she only just kind of cut up the bigger crab thing that it got back into. I'm like, if I was Bo-Katan there, I would continually be smashing the head. I don't know how small that thing was.
I guess he did just kind of fall. I don't know why I thought. I also watched it. It must have been like 1 o'clock in the morning after like having a hard day with the baby. Yeah, he just kind of falls down. It must have been like the splashes. At first, I thought it was like a hand or something. I think is what I saw.
I mean, it could have been. It could have been the mythosaur. Probably hungry down there.
Nom 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 nom. He's a big boy though. He has to be eating something. Right? Like, you're not just big.
Maybe there's like some algae growing down there or something,
What we don't know, because we don't know what that alien in the machines was doing, but it seemed to be like draining the blood from Din, the Mando.
Yeah.
Or fluids in general, which I don't know what for, whether it consumes it or not, but what do you think? I don't know what it does with the bodies.
You'd have to assume he's on the side of the... What do they call those? I was going to say algox, but that's not right. They called those creatures something that used to live outside the city.
The more gorilla-ish type things.
Yeah, the primitive. Yeah, gorillas. I forget what they were, but
I'm not sure.
Bo-Katan said him by name, but you'd have to assume that the robot cyborg thing was at least like cool with those, right? Or else he'd have to like defend his position.
We good. They might even work together.
That's what I'm saying. Like, was he like capturing people for them? Was he draining them? Hard to say. Was he like helping them mutate? Could be anything.
I forget that Disney Plus won't show off of screen share.
No,
share.
no, they know. They know. They got all the fancy.
All the tech. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, Mando wise? I enjoyed the episode. That seeing more. We're starting to set up the problems for the season.
Yeah, I mean that's you asked the right question though. Of like, is he cleansed now? Like, what is the magic of Mandalore that everyone believes in? Like, what does it take? Because Bo-Katan just passed off all of that stuff. It was just like, yeah, it's nonsense. It was just a ritual that I did because they wanted me to.
Yep. He took his bath. He's clean now.
What was I forget is the armorer who was like ceremonializing the kid in the first episode.
Yeah.
So like,
how does he prove? One question: how does he prove that he took the bathy? Like,
I mean, he's a square. Like, he literally came in and he's the one that said, "I took my helmet off." So
yeah, why would he lie? He's never. I
guess.
He's also a terrible liar. Did you see him in the Imperial episode with Bill Burr? Terrible liar.
True. Armando is not infallible. Awesome. Oh man, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, here's my next Mando question. We'll close this out. What is something you want to see this season, whether that be an actual just like I want to see this in it, or something that you would like to happen this season? Ryan, I'll yeet it up to you first.
R5 redemption arc.
I like
We
it.
finally get something done and not just fail at his job, I guess.
you know who R5 was? Like,
I know.
I mean, that is Skippy.
It's true. Canonically, though. Canonically.
I mean, Skippy is back.
It's true.
The force-sensitive droid. Maybe that's why he was being all nervous, because he knows what's up.
I think R5 will do something redeeming at some point, and not just be what Peli assumes him to be, which is a mostly useless droid that she tries to oversell to Mando.
Yep. Maybe I could see the line where he does something. It's like something along the lines of, "I know you weren't a piece of junk." Will, what about you?
I'll take either one of these. It's kind of a two-parter. But first off, Grogu wielding the Darksaber with like super ease. I would love, like, even though it's like way too big for him, he's still just like swinging around with ease. That would be amazing. Second part though, and here's where it gets interesting. I know this is a Mandalorian show, but Grogu fights with the Darksaber against a red lightsaber wielding opponent.
Oh, okay. Would the Darksaber adjust in length?
No, he's just really no. I want him to be like Yoda proficient with it unnaturally, and just be amazing with it.
Marcel?
Hope, or what do you
Just what's something you'd like to see? Nothing like I'm not saying like something that's gonna break your heart if you don't get it, but what's something you think could be cool?
I like the whole original reason of why the Empire was so not just because Baby Yoda had the Force and they were like going after Force users. There's something in that initial episode or initial 2 or 3 episodes from season 1 where Baby Yoda had something to do with the cloning of Force sensitive. So I want that arc to make its way back. Oh, I want to know where that's leading, because obviously, Big Baldy, what's his name, from like episode 7 and 8, he was cloned.
He's Snoke.
Snoke, yeah.
I was
Snoke.
like baldy.
Big Baldy, tall, baldy guy.
Interesting. Who do you think they were cloning?
Oh, I think they were
It's
trying
Palpatine,
to
right?
clone. Oh, you mean who were they cloning? Because they cloned like a bunch of Palpatines and they cloned a bunch of Snokes.
Yeah. Was it going to be a Snoke? Do you think it's going to be some sort of half-deformed evil
I don't
baby
think that
Yoda?
I actually just don't. I just want that arc to come around.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Well, do we
Because
think so?
that he was like the guinea pig or something.
Do we think that there's a actual main reason that they are overlapping Mando and Bad Batch?
That's what I'm thinking as well, because
as
Bad
Bad
Batch
Batch
is
is
leaning
getting-
heavily into that cloning.
Yeah, into the like, oh, Empire's taking the cloning stuff for themselves and trying to do something with it. Is there going to be a tie-in between those two shows? Because I mean, we really haven't seen much full season overlapping of anything on Disney Plus. I think the closest we got Tales of the Jedi that came out around the same time as something else. I forget what it was.
Yeah, those shorts.
Yeah. But most of the time they've been trying to,
Keep it
space
separate,
it out
yeah.
to keep people incentivized to stay on Disney Plus's subscription. So why overlap one of your biggest Star Wars shows with your biggest animated Star Wars show right now? Like, probably not a lot of business sense there unless they're actually trying to tie them together.
There's some type of story reason.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. Oh. What do I want to see for myself? I like who said it in the chat. First time caller mentioned I want a 1-to-1 replacement of the Razor Crest. I just want more ships. Give me more ships. Even if it's not for Mando, just let's see some more cool ships. I love that in episode 1 we got a space battle. I'd like to see him fly even another ship, whether that be another starfighter or a larger ship, because that just means more content for X-Wing.
Now I know the serious thing that I know what I want, because our 5 redemption arc was kind of just a funny thing.
All right, hit us.
I want to
with it.
see Mando take on the pirate ship, like board it and fight all the pirates, and you fight the boss pirate in a cool fight.
Oh yeah, that for sure. Like a barrack style battle, like from season 1, just going in there and just tearing them up. Yes, please. Yes, please. Let's get the shootout. Let's make it happen.
Who against who?
The pirates.
So,
Mando.
remember those pirates in episode 1?
Yeah.
And the swamp thing looking pirate guy? I want Mando to be like boarding that pirate ship and taking them all on.
The Pirate of the Caribbean.
Yeah. And like have it be in some weird space storm if you want to make it more pirate-like too. Who cares? I did think it was cool in the episode 1 how like basically Mando turned into like Rambo. If you guys ever saw Rambo, he's just like he disappeared amongst the asteroids and he's just slowly picking them off, surprise out of nowhere, and like sneaking back around in a way. Like, he completely went Rambo on them.
Love it. Well, we gotta wait a couple more days for some more Mando-licious. It's on the way. Happy St. Patrick's Day to anybody who's celebrating on Friday. Other than that, we got anything else, gentlemen, before we head out into hyperspace? Seems like we're good. All right, everybody. Stay smart. Stay safe. 10 days till the World Championships of X-Wing. Gold Squadron